Hey everybody, Resident Loser Jeremy here. I think at this point in time, we're about to hit 2,000 subscribers, so that is insanity. A couple days ago, I was saying thank you that we just hit 500, and it was literally a couple days ago. Stick around after the tip. I'm gonna talk about what happened the last couple of days, just to say thank you to a few people. I appreciate a very sincere show of kindness that those people did not have to show. We'll get to a tip and then stick around after that. I'm going to talk about what happened. Anyway, we're tracking drums. Now, I like to track drums in as close to a finished sound as possible. Now, there's definitely limitations there. There's things that you can and can't do while you're tracking, but there's a plugin that I absolutely love for getting drums like from the tracking stage where they can be pretty boring to like, holy cow, those sound insane. How did you do that type of drum sounds? Fab Filter Saturn. No, this is not a sponsored video. I'm sponsored by no one ever. Never been sponsored at all, but I wouldn't say no. So, hey, how's it going? Anyway, Fab Filter Saturn, you have basically a multi-band distortion, saturation, warmth circuit, kind of an EQ-ish type of thing, as well as there's like compression characteristics going on where you can control the individual dynamics of any band you so choose, which is really helpful when it comes to drums. So here we're in the session. I've got, just to show you the drum sound real quick here. Real quick, I've got my kick in and kick out, both going to a folder track with the kicks. I just have a drum gate on here right now, both on that and the snare, just to keep things tight. That was not on during tracking. It is now because I prefer it, but just to show you that these are real, here's some bleed. So yeah, it's a real drum set. This is my snare trick that I've talked about 101 times. Not my snare trick, a snare trick that someone else taught me that I'll link. Where do links go? That I'll link up here. You can check that out. It's basically a snare phase trick. Go check it out. I do that during the tracking phase. Holy cow, I'm gonna sneeze. Hang on. I am not sick. I live in Indiana and they're plowing the fields now. Just to show you real quick what I'm doing. The kicks here, there's just EQ on my kick in, kick out, a little more EQ going on. The individual tracks aren't really important, but what I do have going on here is I've got Saturn on the kicks. I've got Saturn snare folder. I don't have anything on the hat, but if you want to see that EQ, there it is. There are gates on the toms here that are pretty aggressive, heavy hitting thing, and I want to have as much control as possible. I do have Saturn on each one of these toms, as well as my mono overhead, which is already distorted. I'm just trying to make this thing nasty. And then on the overheads, I've just got this Billy Decker plug, which is awesome. Sends is just where I'm sending things. So I've got the kit going to the decapitator, a drum room, and a parallel comp. So down here in the rooms real fast, I have my room far, which is a mic in the vestibule, probably 20 yards from the kit. Tile, real high ceilings, vaulted ceiling. Sounds disgusting, but it's awesome for drums. I have a little reverb here. You could do this any kind of short drum room you have. This is revibe, but use whatever you want. On that, I've got, Billy Decker. This plugin is killer, by the way. And then just for the snare, I have a verbiage send, and you can take this straight from Nolly. This is a fantastic reverb for your snare if you want that trashy snare thing going on, especially when you're gating it, as hard as I am for this kind of style of music. Granted, this is not a mix. This is right after they left recording the drums. I haven't touched this thing yet. They're not edited. Nothing has happened. This is what we were listening to while we recorded it outside of these Oxford drum gates, which are now inactive. So let's take a listen to what we have, and then I'm going to turn off the Saturn plugs. And there's a few things going on here. I'm not going to exhaustively go through what I'm doing because this is going to be different depending on your drum sound that you have to start with and the one that you want to end with. So I just pull up mainly the the presets that are on this plugin because they're fantastic, and use that as a starting place. So it's kind of ironing out the dynamics a little bit of compression. We're adding some saturation to the top end, adding a little kind of extra click there, and it's just enough to get that kick a little more consistent and above the rest of the kit. The snare is where this really shines. That adds that like top air stuff that's really cool. And you can hear it in there. It's just kind of bringing more of that psh, psh out. The other stuff that I've got on this, a little bit of EQ, lifting it, pulling out a real weird note there. The lo-fi trick, who does not do this on their snare? If you're not doing this, shame on you. Just kidding. Just a little bit of distortion from the lo-fi plugin makes a huge... And then we're into Saturn. And it just adds that kind of finished snare sound. I don't know how else to describe that. The gating you're hearing is coming from... Basically, I recorded 2 tracks here literally from the same channel. You can see they're both on Burl 1. One is phase flipped, then compressed, and then high passed. So essentially I'm canceling out the top end of the snare until it hits. So check out that other video. I'll put a link to it. Toms. It is really adding a cool saturation to the top end and really making it pop. I love this plugin. And the really cool thing here, especially on our floor tom, let's go to where he hits the floor. So one thing you can do with this, like if you don't have enough bottom end on that, and I dig that sound, but you didn't have enough bottom and you want to compress the bottom of it to kind of round it out and make it seem more big. You want it to seem bigger than it actually is. Check this out. And you can do this per channel, essentially. So you can see, like, I'm pushing it to show you what it can do, but if you're lacking anything in a frequency range of that tom, you can adjust it right there. And it's so cool. And as well as having like a tone shaper per section of your EQ here. Not to mention the warmth that you get. Like there's a tube here on the top. Like all these things in and of themselves are very subtle, but the overall result is huge. It's just a massive difference. Now ask yourself which one the client is going to like more. You're not committed to these sounds. If you don't like these sounds, that's fine. I'm probably not going to stick with this for the mix, but especially listening to the demo that they had, I wanted to hear as close to a finished drum sound as I could during the tracking process without reaching for another EQ, another saturator, another compressor. Like it's all right here. And this is, by the way, this is Saturn 1. They've already come out with a Saturn 2, which I really need to buy because I use this plugin all the time. Fab Filter has a way of making plugins that they're not trying to redo another 1176 revision. They're not trying to do another distressor. They're doing something that you cannot achieve with hardware. This is what the digital domain is for. This is what Pro Tools, Cubase, and Reaper, and Logic, this is what these things are for. To do things that you cannot do outboard or with a tape machine or whatever, however you're recording. I love Fab Filter's approach in that sense that they're not constrained like, oh, well, there's no hardware piece that actually does this, so maybe we shouldn't. Nope, get that out of your head. Give me an EQ, give me a saturator, give me a compressor, and by the way, could you do that all in a multi-band solution for me? There are endless uses for this plugin. Most of mine find themselves on the drum set. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to, go ahead and subscribe. I like to do little nerdy things like this all the time. So let's talk about what happened this last few days. Stuff's changed a little since the last time you were here. Stuff's changed since the last time I was here. A couple of days ago, I posted a video. I was pumped. I was just beyond the 50% mark of that 1,000 subscriber goal that I set for myself that I wanted to hit by July of next year, because my birthday's in July. I wanted to hit it next year, July. I can do this. I'm used to getting 1 or 2 subs a day. And then this happened.
It's hard to support somebody that doesn't really care about what they're doing, but somebody that tries, hey, let's support this. A simple 10 minutes could kind of turn around a day, because you realize, you know what, like today kind of mattered. So yeah, Recording Studio Loser, check this guy out, go swarm his channel, go subscribe, show him some love.
I gotta say, I've been watching Ryan's videos for a long time. I can think all the way back to one of his videos that was, gosh, probably 5 or 6 years ago, talking about a modified SM57 and what does that sound like? What can you do with the modified 57? How do you modify it? I don't remember all the details of that video, but I remember watching it years ago, having just started the studio. I had 4 57s at the time, and I modded 3 of them because I thought it was so cool. I would have done 4, but I figured, hey, if I mess this up, I need to have 1 57 left over because I use them all the time. That was like one of the most solid tips that influenced my everyday workflow so long ago from this guy. And to say it was surreal to get a YouTube notification on my phone saying that he had come out with a new video and my channel's name was in the title is an understatement. I actually scared one of my kids I was holding late at night, and I think I got a little excited and I just scared her. I sat there and watched the video like dumbfounded. And I've watched a lot of YouTube. I love YouTube. Kind of the sense of community. Yeah, there's negative stuff, but I'd never seen a YouTuber do a shout out like that. I mean, I've seen people feature people in videos or mention channels in the middle of one of their videos, but to take 4 minutes and make a specific video, I didn't see that coming. I didn't know. I'd never contacted Ryan before. I mean, since we emailed back and forth a couple of times, and that's one cool dude. It sounds really silly to talk about like, hey, this is changing things for me. It really is. Like, I quadrupled my subscriber count in overnight, essentially, all because he did something he did not have to do. It meant a lot. It meant a lot to me, and really humbling. I'm really encouraged by some of the comments you guys are going. Like, I can tell you guys are going through my backlog and really pulling out some videos and kind of forcing me to go back and revisit some videos that aren't necessarily great. But this whole thing is a learning process. My first video on YouTube itself was my one mic video I did for the SM57. And you go back and watch that thing, it does not look good. Done is better than perfect. And since then, I've just been trying to get better. I've been trying to learn things. I've been experimenting, and I feel like I've learned a lot as I've done this, and I'm going to continue to learn. But that said, I don't want to change the way I make videos just because all of a sudden there are more eyes on me. I don't want to change how I approach the channel. What I like most about YouTube is that sense of community. So if there's stuff that you guys want to see, if there's stuff that you like, that you want to talk about, let me know what that is. If I can do it, I probably will. I love to experiment all the way down to the nerdiest levels. I thought I had some time to figure out what I was going to do for the 1,000 subscriber mark. As I'm sitting here, we're at 1954. We blew past 600. I'm not going to address that one. I missed 1,000. I missed 1,500. By the time this hits YouTube, I think it's fair to say it'll be darn close, if not beyond 2,000 subscribers. I was not prepared for that at all. In 2 days to gain over 1,500 subscribers was pretty surprising, to say the least. That said, I'm going to try to plan something special, but this is my part-time thing that I'm doing when I'm not working here at the studio, when I'm not at home with my kids, when I'm not hanging out with my wife. I would love to do this more. Until I can really make that transition, I'm probably not going to move as fast as I would like to, and just know that that's a frustration for me and I'm working on it. That said, if you want to help accelerate that for me, go to my store. I have some free impulse responses on there you can check out. I have products for sale there, like drum samples, little templates. They're just up there for sale if you would like them. But that supports me in a way you can't imagine. Anyway, guys, this definitely would not have happened if it hadn't been for Ryan at Creative Sound Lab. Certainly wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for Charles, one of my subscribers that out of the blue emailed this guy, and then he decided to shout me out. So humbling is not quite the word, but I don't know what other word to use. But I mean, thank you. And I'm not sure what else to say. Pretty heavy for YouTube. Sorry. It's a big deal for me. So thank you. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy. I'll see you guys in the next one.